Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Poppy.
Buenos
And
dias.
all of our friends out there, our community. Happy Shamanic Sundays. This is a special one. It's Mother's Day. And really sweet to be here on this day. Would you like to start us off with a prayer? Because one of the key things that I've learned about shamanism over the years from you is sacred reciprocity, that you don't ask to receive before you give something back. Always starting off our day today as we open to sharing your wisdom and experience with being a pioneer in bridging cultures and bringing shamanism and the practices of shamanic teachings to more and more people. So from your indigenous mentors. So why we're here today, bringing through some more good and more love. And if you could start us off with a prayer, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Happy Mother's Day to you. And by the way, here's some Mother's Day gift for you.
Okay, thank you.
And to Nicole also, when I see you a little later this morning, and to everyone listening, gratitude for. I remember words of grandmother Guadalupe, my spiritual grandmother, who said long ago, she says, "You can never repay your mother for the blood she shed in giving you birth." Mm. So remembering all of our mothers and gratitude to all the mothers of the world who show up with courage and determination and perseverance, with that nurturing love, unconditional love and support, and perseverance to keep going through all the challenges that motherhood brings, and gratitude to the great cosmic mother that gives us birth into Mother Earth, and to all the women, whether you've had, excuse me, babies through your bodies or not, the feminine energy, the nurturing energy of the woman, the strength of the woman to bring that love through in all kinds of circumstances. Remember here, honor you and give thanks for you, and prayers that the wisdom of the feminine energy, of that mothering, nurture, protective energy grows stronger in the world, both within all of us and how we bring it out into the world for the healing of the sacred hoop. May it be so. Oh.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So for those of you joining us, I just want to remind you can add questions in the chat there. And we have one actually that got emailed to us from last week that we'll start with today. And the question was, isn't shamanism primarily about psychedelic journey work? And so how does what we're doing today tie in with that?
Yeah, no, shamanism, while work with sacred plants is frequently involved with shamanic work, it's not a requirement for shamanic work, because the practices of shamanism are to open up the doorways, if you will, of the mind to an expanded state of awareness, of consciousness, deeper, higher levels of consciousness than our ordinary ego conditioned, narrow mind. So the practices of shamanism are to help open those doorways to connection with the spirit world and with helpers and guides in the spirit world that the shaman can call on to help him or her do their work in the world, to bring through healing, bring through transformation, or bring through awakening, bring through insight and understanding. So while psychedelics have been very important in my life and helped open my mind up to begin with, I also practice many different disciplines, spiritual disciplines, meditation, yoga, Tai Chi, and many others to help open those channels and be able to have contact, communion, and attunement with the helpers I have in the spirit world, and with Great Spirit, the Great Mother, to bring through energy to help address whatever situation she calls me into. So it's not necessary to take psychedelics to engage in shamanist practices. And Shamanic Sunday, here I am with my these are called movieres in the Huichol tradition, that I energize every day to help open up those channels. And so when I come to this opportunity to be with you, Kimmy, asking the questions, and thank you for that, and Nicole backing us up with technological expertise. Then I'm opening myself up to spirit using shamanic practices that I do beforehand, that I'm doing as I'm talking to you right now, to in response to the questions, I can be a channel for what the Great Mother wants to bring through, rather than my ego wants to bring through, or my rational mind, or trying to figure things out, just surrendering into Spirit's presence and letting come through whatever comes through. All right.
Hey, thank you. And can you back up just a second for those folks who,
Back
not
up.
too far,
Okay.
who might be joining us for the first time, or seeing this video, at a later time for the first time? And how would you explain shamanism to a layperson? Because it can seem pretty like woo-woo and out there for a lot of folks.
Well, I think the essence of it, as I experience it, is really what I just spoke to. It's an understanding that that we're more than we think we are, especially in terms of our ego identity, which is a constriction of energy and identity. We're way, way, way more than that. And in fact, we all, as human beings, sacred women, sacred men, we all have access to that larger consciousness, to the wisdom, creative power of the universe. We have access. We all have the potential to access that energy, because in fact it's in us, and we're in it.
And
So,
let's say sacred beings, not just men and women, but sacred beings, to be more inclusive and broad of all forms of beings and life here.
There you go. Thank you. Good example of how I need all the help I can get from the feminine wisdom. So, as I said, so shamanism is a set of practices that developed over humanity around the world, indigenous people, and we're all, if we go back far enough, indigenous, that recognize there's more to us than our egos, more to us than our physical bodies. We're not separate objects. We're connected with this web of life, seen and unseen, and they've developed practices, specific uses of the mind, you might say, and the body, and the focused will and intention to open up channels of attunement with those other levels of consciousness and with spirit, for the purpose, for some practical purpose. So that's what shamanism is about, is the practice of those techniques based on that understanding, to access higher consciousness than the ego and call on it for help in addressing the challenges of and the intentions of the shamanic journey, the opening to that higher consciousness.
Yeah. One of the things that I have found so interesting over the years, in going from, being a toddler growing up, with your work, to my own experience with different, medicine people, and that indigenous people that have come to our family, and I've been fortunate to go to ceremonies with them, and some of my own mentors and teachers, is how this consciousness of attunement, and that there's more going on here than we think, and that how everything is connected. Indigenous spirituality, indigenous tradition, indigenous, belief systems have sort of known that forever, right? It's just part of the culture, part of the DNA. It's what you grow up with, what you're born with. You're part of the land. It's not like nature's over here and you're over here. It's we are all part of nature, right? Hence the stewardship. It's not just taking care of the polar bears or the ocean. It's it's all connected, right? If we want to get back to our more base needs. But when you talk about this, you've also done a lot of research into the science behind this, and the way that sort of science is now proving what indigenous peoples have known for, millions of years. So could you share a little bit about sort of that end of things, the scientific proof of the connection?
Well, one thing that comes to mind immediately is the example of a shaman from another culture with their animal skins and feathers and this, that, and the other thing, shaking a rattle over a person who's seeking healing. And until I think, I don't know, the last 20 or 30 years, the Western view of that was primarily, well, that's mumbo jumbo. That's superstition. That's, scam. That's jive. That's, there's nothing, people are
Boogie
fooling
woogie
themselves.
weirdo.
Yeah, they're being fooled here.
Yeah,
There's people who are unsophisticated and
right.
believe that stuff, and it's but lo and behold, science develops to the point where we're able to measure brain waves, and in the measurement of brain waves with shamanic activities such as a rattle being shaken by someone who knows how to use it with intention and power for good. Activates certain brain waves that enhance healing. That we inherit the genes that we inherit, but whether the genes are epigenetic, science shows us that when the genes are turned on or turned off, just because we inherit certain genes and genetic tendencies, doesn't mean that gene's going to be turned on. It's lifestyle choices that make it that activate whether a particular gene is turned on or off. So these are examples of how the crazy shaman shaking a rattle is actually a very sophisticated understanding of brain waves and is activating brain waves with a certain pulse of that rattle and intention of energy to strengthen the immune system and activate gene expression of healthy genes and turning off the negative expressions of genes. So those are just two examples of science validating that shamanic practices as basically, you could say, the wisdom of indigenous science. That just because it doesn't use microscopes and telescopes, it is a science based on observation of hundreds of thousands of years of paying attention to how nature works, being intimately with it. And so when you pay attention, living with it, you're going to see how nature works, and you're going to see how there's no such thing as a separate thing. How everything is connected, and the need to be in respectful, harmonious relationship with those forces and powers of nature, Mother Earth. Thank you for all your gifts. Because we're dependent on them for our lives.
Thank you. Yeah. Makes me think of, and I may have mentioned this before because I talk a lot about it, but there's a American sociologist, author, futurist, Rebecca Costa, who wrote a book called The Watchman's Rattle, Thinking Our Way Out of Extinction. And she, did just a tremendous amount of research on how civilizations grow and collapse and that cyclical process, right? And one of the primary reason is because we build technologies that get ahead of what we as humans can evolve to in one generation, right? So, I mean, we're living through a good example of that, with AI and technology that we have today, and how are we going to use that? And there's incredible positive opportunity and some really terrifying aspects. But oh my gosh, I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh, I know that one of the things she said that's different about where we are today compared to some other civilizations, that we know of that have collapsed, the Romans, the Mayans, and so on, is that now we actually have, like you just mentioned about being able to measure the brain waves, we have the scientific capacity to create these moments, she calls them like aha moments, that move us forward, that allow us to have insights that could actually help us to catch up to the technologies we've created. I hope I'm doing justice to the point of her writing, but she talks about creating situations that optimize for these aha moments that could actually save us, right? And so I think of how the popularity of plant medicine and psychedelics for psychotherapeutic uses and healing uses has become so much more popular and mainstream, and it's like on the cover of GQ and New York Times and Vanity Fair, right? And compared to like when we were kids, and it was like, it was on the down low, kind of, you didn't talk about it that much. So that's been really interesting to see. But I think it's because we all know on some gut level that like we need these aha moments. We need to find these ways of opening our channels to other ways of thinking and doing and being and having these moments that move us forward. So all that goes to say, the circling back to reconnecting with the indigenous science and the indigenous wisdom, and which all that comes from nature-based wisdom. And then I think of Mother Earth on today, Mother's Day. And I'm going to pull up this quote. Well, do you have any comments you want to say about my blabbing just now?
That sounds like an interesting book. I haven't read it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's really good.
The keenness of your intellect and how your explorations, and then how you bring gifts to me from what your explorations are. And that's part of mothering. That's the nurturing energy to share good news. Support
I
people.
always tell my son Corbin, as a mom, and my nephews, like, part of every generation, right, is you learn from the good and the bad of what I've done as a mom. And fortunately, I feel like I've been so blessed to be born to incredible grandmas and mom, and have amazing aunties and my sister, and just so many good women mom figures. And thank you, Dad, for making my mom a mom. And I want to, so thinking about like Mother Earth, right, being the kind of the original mother. And there's a quote by Winona LaDuke, who's an indigenous rights leader, activist, environmentalist, economist, author. I believe she's from the, I don't know if I pronounce it right, the Ojibwe tribe and the Anishinaabe. And she wrote that women are the first environment. We carry the seeds of life within us, and we are intimately connected to the cycles of nature. When we protect and honor the earth, we are protecting future generations. And so I just love that quote, because I feel like it's like our wombs, Mother Earth, it's like that's where a good part of it starts. So I was wondering for this Mother's Day, if you could guide us into a little visualization of connecting to that Mother Earth energy and how we can tap into that source to find whatever strength guidance we might need in the week ahead.
Oh, yeah. First, I'd like to just say I met Winona LaDuke in Ireland back in the 90s when we both spoke at an international conference, transpersonal psychology conference, focusing on indigenous wisdom and its relevance for our challenges today. This was back in the 90s, and she's a fierce warrior for justice and truth speaking, and that's part of the strength of the feminine, of the woman speaking up and standing up against injustice. So I just want to honor Winona LaDuke and all the women around the world who stand up for justice and bring through that healing love and fierceness of the love to address what needs to be addressed, to bring through deepest, fullest blossoming, greatest good.
Thank you.
So, opening to Mother Earth here. I want to just invite you to go inside, bring the gift of your awareness down inside, and access that place of imagination in your own mind to join me on my prayers this morning when I went outside. The incredible amount of flowers, blossoming shapes and colors and forms, all coming out of what in the winter just looks like empty branches or bare earth, or just a plant that had nothing, no blossoms. And the amazing miracle of new life that comes out of Mother Earth and where you live, wherever that is, and blessings and gratitude, the ancestor spirits and the grandmother's wisdom elder spirits of wherever you live, remembering them. But that Huichol Indians of Mexico have a goddess from which all else comes from in the physical plane, great grandmother growth, they call her, Nakwe, great grandmother growth. And that's that power in Mother Earth that knows how to blossom those flowers, knows how to, that bare branch of the tree that for so many months during the winter is just, it looks like there's nothing happening. It's just a bare branch. And then come that day in spring, there's a little bud one day. And then the next day that bud gets a little bigger and the other branches get buds. And And, and you watch the process each day. You watch great grandmother growth doing her dance to bring through new life, to bring through the inherent potential in that bush or that plant or that tree, to fullest blossoming and greatest good. And we too are recipients of that growth power energy coming up out of Great Mother Earth. She opens her womb and she shares the fruits of the work she does during the winter in her Looks Within place. She shares the gifts of those growth and the new life, the blossoming flowers and the food, the fruits, the nuts that grow out of all of that and feed the birds, and just the cycles go on and on and on and on. And it all comes from great grandmother growth. So give thanks to you, great grandmother growth, to Kutsinakwe, coming up from the earth and coming into the earth of our bodies, flowing an energy, growth energy flowing into our bodies, an empowerment that asks us the question, what do you want to grow in the garden of your life? What do you want to grow with this growth power energy I'm giving to you? So may we all be sensitively aware with gratitude to great grandmother growth, the mysterious power in the earth that comes up in the spring to grow that new growth, to blossom the highest, fullest potential of those seeds that are in us. There's an old saying, something to the effect of pear seeds grow pear trees and apple seeds grow apple trees, and God seeds are in us. Divinity is in us. Seeds of divinity, sparks of divinity. And so opening to great grandmother growth's energy flowing into us with gratitude for the work she does to give us these gifts, to blossom the seeds of potential in us for greater health and wisdom and insight and courage and creativity, creative flow and beauty and honoring of the truth of who we are, sacred, worthy, luminous beings, waking up and wising up to the truth of who we are through the growth power of Mother Earth, of Tukutsinakawe flowing into us. So make a good home for Tukutsinakawe's growth power flowing into you. May we all choose wisely to honor the power, beauty, wisdom of the feminine energy, of the goddess energy in all of us, fullest blossoming, greatest good flowing out into the world. Healing of the sacred who. Oh, right.
Oh, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I love that about the seeds, and the God seeds are in us, and what seeds do we want to plant and blossom and grow. So thank you. I would like to end a little bit early so we can let our friends and I would like to go be with my mama today and go catch up with my sister and meet up with my son. And so is that cool with you?
Fine with me. Yeah, I just want to say next Sunday I'm going to be on the road. I'm starting 2 months of travel, and I'm going to be out of town next Sunday. So Kimmy and I recorded a session that she'll be sharing next Sunday. Do you want to say anything about that?
It'll be the same experience for folks.
Yeah. Except I won't be with you live, but I'll be in ceremony that Sunday morning up in Mendocino, and the channel is going to be real wide and open. So stay open for some extra chi energy coming to you in support of your being, all who listen. Thank you for listening today. And thank you, Kimmy and Nicole, for helping make this happen. Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. And on that note, if any of our listeners or viewers want to participate in one of your in-person ceremonies, they can reach out to you at drtompinkson.com. And with you speaking about, Mother Earth and nature and the blossoming, the branches, hibernation and regeneration. And I'll share also that I'm offering a Nature-Wise Women's Weekend, really about this concept of regeneration, connecting to the wisdom of nature and regeneration, and connecting with our inner wisdom and the great wisdom to be good leaders into the future. So you can learn more about that at Ceres, SERIESCSEA.com /Nature-Wise Weekend. So, or feel free to reach out to us here. So after those plugs, thank you again for this morning, Poppy, and thank you to all of you. And let's just keep sowing our seeds and blossoming this week.
All
right. Love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.